What's going on, Guardians? I am back with another video. We got Shax's ghost popping in here. So in this last video that I did, I talked about the Ghost Angel Cloak, one of my favorite class items for the Hunter. Next up, I wanted to talk about my second favorite, and that is the Cryptid Crucible Cloak, which you can see me wearing right now with the Sparkle Pony shader. We're going to take a little bit of time to kind of go in depth, look at this particular class item, talk about the different shaders that you can put on here. Obviously, you can put them all on here, but I'll just talk about some of my favorites, and then maybe we can discuss where we can get this particular class item. As it's a Crucible item, I did get this from Shax, so it is quite possible that's your best chance, but RNG be RNG, so you never know where these things are going to pop out and come from. But let's go ahead and jump in, take a look at the perks, the flavor text, and see what color combinations we can get with our current armor build. Alright, so jumping right in here, we're getting at the rotation. The lighting was a little bit in your face out there in the Crucible area, so just rotating this here. The Cryptid Cloak is really cool. I love this one. So with the Year 1 class items just pouring into Year 3, this was one that I was really excited to get. I remember I was really excited grinding up, trying to get my hands on the Ghost Angel Cloak, and I picked that up from the Vanguard, as it is a Vanguard Cloak, or class item as it is, and I ended up getting this guy from the Crucible, which makes sense, because nowadays it's so easy to get yourself ranked up with the Crucible and the Vanguard. It's never been easier, and being able to just grind and using those consumables to help boost your gains with both of those factions really helps out in your chances in getting the gear that you want. It didn't take long to get the Cryptid Cloak, and it didn't take as long as I thought it would to get the Ghost Angel Cloak, considering how many class items the Hunter has and how many were brought forward from Year 1. But we're talking about the Cryptid Cloak here, looking great with Sparkle Pony. I love the pink on here. It's really neat. I love the style, the purple, and everything just goes really well together. This might possibly be my favorite shader for this class item, but we'll take a look and see what else we got. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and just take a look what this looks like without a class item. We are just all over with the colors here. Shinobu's Vow, the Trials chest piece, the Dream Eater, legs and helmet, and then, of course, the Cryptid Cloak itself. Now, the Cryptid Cloak, like I said, stands out as being one of the coolest looking cloaks that you can get. Probably my second favorite overall. We'll take an in-depth look at it in just a moment, but let's go ahead and just examine some of the colors that I have available to me with the shaders that I've got. So, we were just looking at the Sparkle Pony, a 7,500 Glimmer cost from Ava Levante. She sells this sometimes. She also sells the Stolen Chalice and the Barrier Ethos, which we're going to take a look at in a moment for the same price. The Stolen Chalice, however, gives everything a bit more of a silver design and look to it. If it wasn't so metallic, the Stolen Chalice might actually stand out to being one of the cooler shaders that you can put on all of your class items and armor. I'm not a big fan of this kind of silvery, shiny, metallic look. Let me rephrase that. I like the dark gray. I like the silver. I just wish it didn't look so much metallic as silver is. That shine just makes it look like a pair of hot pants, like I'm getting ready to go to some disco rave in Las Vegas or something, and that doesn't really sit right well with me. However, the cloak isn't as affected as it seems to be so much on things like the boots and the pants area. There's a little bit of a metallic look in there, but you know what? To each their own. I still like this. I'd still proudly rock this shader. I just wish it wasn't so metallic on the pants. The Barrier Ethos is one of my favorite shaders. The red on here is super rad. The other sets of armor pieces that go together with my current gear buildup don't really sit right with me. Kind of a really dark green on the shoulders there and in the pants, but for the rest of it looks really neat. I really like this shader though because it brings out some of the coolest looking colors that you can get on this cloak. Dark reds make this thing look super cool. Now, the Infinite Link shader, something you can get from the Refer a Friend quest, it looks really great on a lot of sets of armor. It kind of brings out most of like that ash kind of gray, almost a black, almost a solid black looking color. The only problem I have with it is that it adds a bit of a texture, which you can see on some of the armor pieces, particularly the pants, and then on the lower portion of the cloak. It kind of looks like it's built by Tetris blocks or Legos a little bit. You see how it's all stacked together in squares and rectangles and what have you. Not a big fan of that design. Also, the red kind of ruins the whole thing for me. I might actually overlook the texture design with the Infinite Link shader if it wasn't for those damn red pants. Alright, next up we're going to look at the Cleopatra AK, a new Monarchy shader. I love the new Monarchy shaders. I feel like the new Monarchy shaders are some of the coolest looking ones you can get. Dead Orbit and New Monarchy are great. Not a big fan of the Future War Cult shaders. They're kind of all over the place, but this is really cool. The reds and the whites are fantastic. I love everything about this shader except for the fact that the white is a bit too in your face. If the white point was reduced just a wee bit, then I would probably say this would be in my top 5 or maybe top 3 favorite shaders of all time for any set of armor for a Hunter or even a Titan for that matter. I really love this set. Alright, next up we have is the Perilous Quest. This is a Rise of Iron shader that dropped for me during the Iron banner, I believe so, and I love this one a lot too, mainly because of the cloak. Now, you might not be a big fan of the rest of the armor build with the greens, the browns, and maybe a little bit of the whites in there, but you can't deny that cloak looks amazing in green. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability with shaders to toggle colors on and off for certain bits of gear, which I wish that would be something that we get someday, because I would love to apply shaders to just class items and not my armor, or use a shader on one set of armor and then, you know, just kind of mix and match. I think that would be fun and give a much more custom option design for your you know, guardians, whether it be a warlock, hunter, or titan. But in this case, that green is awesome. Next up is the cryptographic. This one is pretty much gold and red across the board. The red looks great in the cloak, the gold accents things well. Might be a little bit gaudy for some, but I really like the combination of gold and red. It just seems like all the colors are in the right places this time. Even the pants, not a huge fan of that, but I could definitely overlook it because of the gold, the black, the red, and kind of like that dirty white. See, the dirty white I actually think looks really neat. If you were to add something like that, kind of tone it down a little bit with something like Chatter White, which we'll look at in a minute, or some of the new Monarchy shaders, you would have a really cool looking hunter. Alright, next up is Knight Errant. Let's go ahead and pull that guy up. Knight Errant, a Rise of Iron shader as well. So we're looking at Perilous Quest and then obviously the Knight Errant one here. Both of these dropped for me during Iron Banner. Really cool looking. I like this combination, kind of a wine looking color if you're a fan of that. You also notice that the cloak seems to be covered in what looks like blood patches, unless our hunter's an alcoholic and he just happens to spill wine all over his face. But in any case, let's just assume that it's blood. That's cooler. So the blood you can kind of see in the right and the left sides of the hood there, and some kind of little splatters now and again down the draping backside of the Cryptid cloak. Chatter White, the Vault of Glass shader, is really cool. Again, I still stand with what I said, that the whites seem to be a little bit too bright and in your face. If we could tone that down just a little bit, then maybe we would have some of the coolest looking shaders ever. Now, to me, I still stand that Chatter White is one of the raddest shaders that you can get, but I would like it to be toned down just a little bit. Alright, so let's go ahead and just throw on Cleopatra, and let's go ahead and bounce up in here and take a look at some of the perks. Now again, it's not an exotic, so you're not going to see like some super duper crazy perks or anything like that, but you can go ahead and take a look and just admire the design here. Now this little piece that you're seeing, little plastic piece with like the wiring or the ropes or whatever the heck that is, I could do without that. But even so, this cloak is still radical. Just looking at it, I'm so proud and so glad to have this. And plus the color build and the armor build that I've got, I'm pretty proud of my hunter's design overall here. Now it is a Crucible particular cloak, so Crucible Champion, and then naturally the flavor text is probably some of the cooler flavor text you can get on Crucible armor for any character. Out there, all that is a job. Here, in the Crucible, this is a life. I love that. That's awesome, especially for PvP diehards like myself. It just really fits the playstyle and the armor itself. And then, of course, you have your focuses, in this case, auto rifle and rockets, and then you have your discipline and intellect. Now, these can all roll differently across the board, but naturally, Crucible Champion is going to be stuck on here each and every time, and then, of course, you can infuse it up. But there you go, guys. Number 2, my favorite cloak, second favorite cloak of all time. Number 1 being Ghost Angel. Number 2 coming in at close with number 2 here is the Cryptid Cloak. And this guy is just rad. Go ahead and rank up your Crucible gains and see if you can get yourself a awesome Cryptid Cloak to drop from Shaxx. Lord Shaxx himself is just giving out all sorts of packages of goodies like crazy. And don't feel like you have to get the armor ones. I have been focusing on getting weapons like none other. And every single time I'm upgrading weapons on any faction for any of my characters, I always get a class item as well. And that's what happened here. I got a shotgun from the Crucible and this particular cloak, so just keep that in mind. But as always, guys, I do recommend that you guys show me what you guys got. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments section below if you guys have a different build or a particular shader that you like with your Cryptid Cloak, or if you're still curious about how to get this guy. Keep in mind, RNG is RNG, so it could come from an engram, it could come from a Crucible match drop, or it could come from a rank up package like is how I got. Never know. But we are at the end of the video, guys, so once again, it's that time where I ask you guys to thumbs up if you like the video, or provide a comment and some feedback down below. But I just appreciate you guys watching it. That's what means the most to me. If you guys want to subscribe, that would be cool too. And thank you once again for stopping by and checking out this vid. I will see you guys in the next one, and as always, stay hunting, Guardians. Take it easy.